Hey guys, it's CL, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I make brand new Critical Role recaps every some days at noon. Keep checking back for uploads. I'll try to get back on that as soon as possible. Anyway, it's been almost a year since the last time I did a critical casting video. You guys have shown a lot of support for those videos, and that means a lot. And I thought it was time to pay some attention to our beloved side characters from the Vox Machina campaign. With the animated series and also the upcoming Mighty Nine animated series, I don't feel like it's that far-fetched for us to have a live-action adaptation of Vox Machina. So I figured I would go through and share with you my thoughts of who should play who. First up, we have Kashaw. Cash is a hard one because he has such a specific tone in his comedy. It's extremely dry, but it's also kind of like bro-ish, but there's also like a class to it. It's extremely confusing, but it's extremely funny. So a couple of my choices were Jason Bateman and Jason Sudeikis, the Battle of the Jasons. I mean, Jason Bateman is incredible in Arrested Development, as well as Identity Thief is one of my favorite movies with him in it. So I know he can do funny, he can do the straight man. There's a lot of versatility there. Meanwhile, Jason Sudeikis, I mostly know from SNL, and he's just super funny. There's also a movie he did with Alison Brie, and Alison Brie's kind of like my big celebrity crush, so if I can at any way connect to Alison Brie, I'm gonna do it. But I think my number one choice is a cop-out. Woo! I usually allow myself to do one character who is played by their original actor, and that's Will Friedle. I think Will is so funny, and I just can't see it being played by anyone else, so that's my choice. Now it's time to talk about his lovely partner, Zahra, who is charming, witty, a little spicy, and we love that for her. There was honestly only one name that really came to mind, so I'm just gonna do the one name because, I mean, of course I'd want Mary Elizabeth to return and play that role, but I'm trying to limit myself to only one of the original cast, so I chose Emily Blunt. She is amazing from A Quiet Place to The Devil Wears Prada, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. There's a specific part that just like tingles my brain for some reason that like whenever she says, where have you got to go? Hideous Scott Convention. And just like the way she hits those consonants. Sorry, tangent. Anyway, I choose Emily Blunt. She's extremely funny. She has kind of a debonair quality to her that I really love and I think would fit perfectly with Zahra. I want to know some of your guys' thoughts on Zahra because I literally could not come up with anyone besides Emily. Anna Ripley, who is kind of a very complicated character. She has to be believable enough that you actually think she's good for a period of time, but she's also just like so sickeningly evil that it was hard. She's one of those characters that's like Umbridge from Harry Potter, where it's like she's so good at being bad, you just hate her guts, like it's like a vile thing for me. So it was hard to come up with people who could actually play that really well. So the first person I did rule out, and that was Maya Hawke. I know her best from Stranger Things, but I also saw her in Do Revenge, and I think she could play the pretend part really well. I think the only thing stopping me is that I just pictured Ripley with dark hair, and I know that we could like dye her hair, but I don't know, I just wanted someone with like a little bit more age on them and a little bit more dark and mysterious. So I am tied. I have one that I'm leaning towards, but it's between Kristen Ritter and Gemma Chan. I love Kristen Ritter so much, from Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 to Defenders and Jessica Jones. I love her so much, and I think she could play this really well because she has a very bubbly personality at times that I think could be cool and that could kind of take them off guard. But Gemma Chan, I don't know, I just love Gemma Chan so much, and I think it would work out really well because would you expect her to be evil? I mean, in both of her roles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we kind of have two very opposing sides. In her role in Captain Marvel, she's a villain. And in her role in the Eternals, she is the hero. So I'm very curious at what you guys think. Let's talk about Papa Silas, Briarwood. I just wanted like a man to play him. I wanted someone who was broad-shouldered, strong of jaw, and just gave me like himbo vibes. Even though I know he's very smart, but still. I mean, there was Jason Momoa, who, I mean, he's awesome. There you go. There's Joe Manganiello, who I saw him at Gen Con in person, and he is so tall, and I don't know if I had seen him in this role before I saw him in person, but he's a very commanding presence. Like, he almost parted the crowd like the Red Sea. But the one I want is Henry Cavill, because it's Henry Cavill. And I think he would take it so seriously because he's a huge nerd like us. Like, think about his time on The Witcher. Apparently he was so anal about what they were doing with plot and details. I feel like he'd be true to the character. Now let's talk about his wife, Delilah, who I wanted to give a couple different options for because I wanted someone who was maybe skewing younger or someone who skewed older, and because like she's going to be encompassing a couple campaigns if they did a live action version of all three. I think physically Olivia Wilde is what I picture when I picture Delilah, but in all honesty, she's just not who I would pick. Then I thought Winona Ryder. I really like the idea of Winona playing a villain character, especially one with a lot of subtlety and like quiet demure, and I think Winona could play that really well. But my choice is Anne Hathaway, and I know what you're thinking, like, what? But she's so smart, she's so just like cunning and precise, and I just want to see her in more villain roles. I feel like she's always like the doe-eyed ingenue, and I really want to see her play something that's got a little bit more grit, and she can really throw out her acting chops. Next we have Allura, who I love. And I only have two for her, and spoiler, I'm doing Kima. But the two for Allura, I wanted to give someone who was older and someone who was younger. Because I don't know where they're gonna skew, you know, for a live action. Like, are they gonna make everyone in their mid-20s and 30s? Or are they gonna go for younger so that they have more time with these characters? So the first person was Anya Taylor-Joy, who is my other crush, because she's fluent in like 3 languages. She's an incredibly gifted actress, and her in The Queen's Gambit is like one of my favorite roles of all time. She's so talented. But I think physically the person I picture when I think of Lady Allura is Rosamund Pike. Specifically a very like rosy-cheeked and soft Rosamund Pike, like her role in Pride and Prejudice as Jane. I think Rosamund is so talented. She also just has that very like all-knowing presence where she enters a room, she's very calm, and I think she knows what's going on. Now let's talk about her lovely partner Kima, who is just a riot, and I would love to see in a live-action series. So again, I have someone who's a little bit younger and someone who's a little bit older. I have Florence Pugh because I love Florence Pugh, and I will use any excuse to cast her in anything. Also, I just imagine her voice for Kima. She's got a very gravelly, almost like trumpet-like, horn-like voice, and I love it, and I could picture it so clearly for Kima. The other person is someone I've already used for Beau, so that's why I don't know, and that's Stephanie Beatrice. I just think personality-wise, she kills it. And she's got that very sarcastic comedy that always makes me laugh, and I just think that she'd also do so well in this part. Let me know what you think. Finally, we have the lovely Gilmore. Gilmore is so hard because I don't feel like there's enough representation in Hollywood that's like Gilmore. I want someone who's very illuminescent, someone who, when he walks in the room, they're there and they command it and they have a very vibrant personality. So there was Dev Patel, who I really like, but I don't know if he has the je ne sais quoi that I'm kind of looking for. Another was Jeff Goldblum, who I love Jeff Goldblum, but he's older than what I was picturing. So the only person who I could actually come up with was Ncuti Gatwa, who is from Sex Education and is the most recent Doctor for Doctor Who. I loved his storyline on Sex Education. He's incredibly funny and personable, and he has this spiritual journey through the last season, spoiler alert, that I think brings him to a very wise and yet charming place, and I really love it. and he's bringing that into the new Doctor role. So I think Ncuti would do so well. And it was also important to me just to have like a queer character in this role. I just feel like it would be far more relatable, and I want more representation like Gilmore in Hollywood. Like, come on, let's get to it. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave some of your choices in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay safe out there. Good day, my friends.